I'm Philip, live in Miami, Florida, from Chicago, a community organizer, an artist, and a healer.
I'm Richie Reseda. I am a producer who has been concerned with how human beings live our lives for quite some time. To be able to have this conversation with you, Phil, genuinely, watching Eyes on the Prize episode 6 taught me a lot about where this chapter of protest and organizing that I would say lasted from like 2012 to like 2020. I already knew you when I saw it, so it was cool to be able to kind of see a version of how you came to be, in the position you're in. You were finishing up school when Trayvon was killed and George Zimmerman was acquitted. And it appeared to me that something was then placed on your heart to show up for the community, and you learned a lot of lessons on the way. What was that like for you?
Well, I started organizing when I was in college. So coming from Chicago, coming down south, where I went to school, Florida A&M, I had to learn a lot about Black people, about being away from home, about everything. And it was a crash course in all things Black, all things political. I went to a school that was deeply political. And so I started organizing when I was in school. It was the first time I had done anything like that. I knew the environment that I came up in from Chicago and coming here, I knew that the things that I was seeing affecting people in Florida were the same thing I was seeing affecting my people and my family in Chicago. To have heard Trayvon's phone call, that's what happened with me. Somebody told me about it. I went on the website. I heard the phone call from somebody, a neighbor in the apartment complex with Trayvon screaming in the background. And that affected me deeply because you heard on that tape the last few minutes of this young boy's life. And it changed everything within me, and it really shot me along where I felt like I was supposed to be. What did you know about it?
I mean, it was heartbreaking, bro. The stories of people like Trayvon resonated with me. One, because he was 17, I was 19. We're similar in age. And two, because it just seemed like nobody cared.
We literally, to your point, Richie, it happened. I called some people. I said, yo, what are we going to do? What can we do about this? And we just did it.
When Trayvon was killed, when Zimmerman was acquitted, and y'all decided to go outside, what were you fighting for?
Most people, when you're just starting off, you see someone get killed, you want the person who killed them to be arrested. And that was what we believed justice was. At that moment, we evolved very quickly, but at that moment, that's what it was all about.
I think that's where most people still are today.
Yes, perform the thing or act out. It's a catharsis for sure. But when I go home and I'm sitting with myself, or I'm sitting with my partner, or I'm sitting with somebody in the movement, how am I engaging with them?
When we start setting up our own mirrors on purpose, we don't have to rely on the police and the prisons and the borders and the corporations to force us to live any type of way. And this is what our people did. This is what it is to live indigenously. This is what our people did for thousands of years.
Every generation has a responsibility, right, to choose or deny, right, what they're going to do. And that's what I think a lot of what I see happening now. Folks are saying, look, I've done the protesting thing. I have. I've done the getting arrested thing for protesting, but right now I'm much more concerned with the relationship that I have between us. And I think that's going to form the protective barrier against our victories that we're going to have over the next few years.
What makes life worth living is our connection to each other. So I'm blessed. I'm blessed by all the ancestors that are in this documentary, all the ancestors that are in Eyes on the Prize who had to fight up against conditions much harder than mine. I look to them, I thank them for the people who got us out of slavery, got us out of Jim Crow, got us out of redlining, and now we are called upon this next harder part to learn more about all of the amazing ancestors and community members like Phil who got us to where we are so far. You can watch the HBO original Eyes on a Prize on Max.